A daring escape, a decade on the run, and a world captivated by one man's audacious defiance. Ronnie Biggs, a participant in the infamous Great Train Robbery of 1963, became more than just a criminal. He transformed into a folk hero, a symbol of rebellion against authority. But his escape wasn't a simple dash for freedom. It was a meticulously planned operation, the game of cat and mouse played out across continents, with Biggs always one step ahead. Ronald Arthur Biggs, commonly known as Ronnie Biggs, was born on August 8, 1929 in Lambeth, London. Raised in a working-class family, Biggs experienced a turbulent childhood that saw him frequently in trouble with the law. By his teenage years, he had already become well acquainted with the criminal justice system, having been involved in various petty crimes. These early brushes with the law culminated in several short stints in juvenile detention centers and prisons. Despite these setbacks, Biggs showed an early aptitude for planning and organization, traits that would later play crucial roles in his most infamous criminal act. Growing up in post-war Britain, Biggs faced numerous social and economic challenges. The scarcity of opportunities for young people in his neighborhood pushed many towards petty crime as a means of survival. Biggs' early involvement in criminal activities can be seen as a product of his environment, where the allure of quick money often overshadowed the risks of getting caught. His early years were marked by a cycle of arrests and short-term imprisonments, which only served to deepen his resolve to outwit the system. Biggs' notoriety skyrocketed when he became involved in one of the most famous heists in British history, the Great Train Robbery. On August 8, 1963, Biggs, along with a gang of 14 other men, executed a meticulously planned robbery of the Royal Mail train traveling from Glasgow to London. The robbers intercepted the train at Brightigo Railway Bridge, near Mitmore in Buckinghamshire. They tampered with the signals to bring the train to a halt and overpowered the crew, including the train's driver, Jack Mills, who was struck on the head and seriously injured. The gang made off with £2.6 million, equivalent to around £53 million today, an astronomical sum at the time. The heist was notable for its sophistication and the audacity of its execution, involving detailed planning and insider information. The robbers used a modified vehicle to transport the money and had a well-prepared hideout, Leatherslade Farm, where they divided the loot. However, despite their initial success, the robbers made several critical errors that led to their downfall. They left behind fingerprints and other evidence at their hideout, and their spending habits soon drew attention. Ronnie Biggs was captured along with many of his accomplices. In 1964, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for his role in the robbery. Biggs was sent to MP Wandsworth, a maximum security prison in London. The harsh sentence and the conditions within the prison walls only fueled Biggs' determination to escape. He was not content with his fate and soon began plotting his escape, driven by a desire for freedom and the hope of reuniting with his family. MP Wandsworth, known for its strict regime and formidable security, housed some of Britain's most notorious criminals. Biggs' experience in Wandsworth was marked by the harsh realities of prison life, including overcrowding, limited contact with the outside world, and the ever-present threat of violence. The psychological strain of his lengthy sentence, coupled with the desire to be with his family, provided Biggs with the motivation to orchestrate his escape. In July 1965, after serving just 15 months of his sentence, Biggs and 3 other inmates made their move. Using a homemade rope ladder, they scaled the wall of the prison. This plan involved inside help, including assistance from prison guards who were bribed or coerced. Biggs' wife, Charmian, also played a critical role in the escape, coordinating with accomplices on the outside. The escape was meticulously planned over several months. Biggs and his fellow inmates used their limited resources to fashion a rope ladder from bed sheets and other materials available to them. They also carefully observed the routines of the prison guards, identifying the best time to make their move. On the night of the escape, everything went according to plan. After scaling the prison wall, the escapees jumped into a waiting van, which whisked them away to a safe house. From there, Biggs fled to Brussels, Belgium, and then to Paris, France, where he underwent plastic surgery to alter his appearance and obtain new identity documents. His transformation was so effective that it allowed him to move about with relative freedom and avoid immediate detection by law enforcement. In Paris, Biggs lived under a series of assumed names, blending into the expatriate community and avoiding any activities that might attract attention. Biggs' escape from Wandsworth prison marked the beginning of a long period as a fugitive. After his surgery in France, he traveled to Australia, living in Melbourne and Adelaide under assumed identities. During his time in Australia, Biggs maintained a low profile, working various jobs to support himself while remaining constantly vigilant against capture. He took on work as a carpenter and even ran a boarding house, all while avoiding any interactions that might lead to his discovery. However, as the authorities began to close in, he decided to flee once again, this time to Brazil in 1970. Brazil did not have an extradition treaty with the United Kingdom, making it a safe haven for Biggs. His arrival in Brazil marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life as a fugitive. In Brazil, Biggs carved out a relatively comfortable life, despite living under the constant threat of arrest. In Brazil, Biggs fathered a son, Michael, with his Brazilian girlfriend, Ramunda de Castro, which further complicated any potential extradition because Brazilian law did not permit the extradition of parents of Brazilian children. This legal protection provided Biggs with a significant degree of security, allowing him to live more openly. Biggs' notoriety turned him into a minor celebrity, and he even made a cameo appearance in a music video for the punk band Sex Pistols. Despite the facade of a carefree life, Biggs' existence in Brazil was marked by a careful balancing act between maintaining a public profile and avoiding actions that could lead to his arrest. In 1974, Scotland Yard detectives tracked Biggs to Rio de Janeiro. However, due to his son's nationality and the lack of an extradition treaty, British authorities were unable to bring him back to the UK. Biggs lived openly in Brazil, occasionally taunting the British authorities with his media appearances. His lifestyle, though relatively modest, drew attention, and he continued to live with the fear of eventual capture. In 2001, after 36 years on the run and suffering from poor health, Biggs voluntarily returned to the UK, surrendering to authorities. He was immediately rearrested and sent back to prison to serve the remainder of his sentence. Ronnie Biggs' final years were marked by a series of health issues, including strokes and heart problems. In 2009, he was released on compassionate grounds due to his ill health, having served about a third of his original sentence since his return. Despite his release, Biggs' health continued to decline, and he spent his remaining years under constant medical care. Biggs passed away on December 18, 2013, at the age of 84. Ronnie Biggs' escape left an undeniable mark on history. Was he a cunning criminal or a rebellious icon? The answer, perhaps, lies somewhere in between. But one thing is certain, his story is a thrilling testament to the lengths people go to for freedom and the enduring fascination with those who defy the rules. We'll leave you with that thought, and maybe a spark of curiosity. Did Biggs truly win his game of freedom, or was there a different kind of prison waiting for him all along?